So if people understand that 90% of the thoughts that they think every day are the same thoughts as the day before, that's a fact. And the same thoughts always lead to the same choices. The same choices always lead to the same behaviors. The same behaviors create the same experiences. And the same experiences produce the very same feelings and emotions. And those same emotions influence our very same thoughts. And our biology, our neurocircuitry, our neurochemistry, our hormones, our gene expression stays the same because we're the same. But the repetition of firing and wiring the same circuits in our brain in the same way causes us to create a very finite set of circuitry that becomes our identity and our personality. And nerve cells that fire together wire together, which means you keep doing it, it gets easier for them to fire and they run more automatically. So it turns out 95% of who we are by our midlife is a set of memorized behaviors, unconscious habits, hardwired thoughts and attitudes, conditioned emotions that are so familiar to us that it doesn't even feel like fear or it doesn't feel like sadness. It's just who we are. So it usually takes crisis or trauma or disease or diagnosis or your lowest point in your life where you're knocked to your knees. And for that moment, you actually have a view of yourself outside of yourself. You can see yourself from a different state. The facade, the whole illusion is over. And that's when a person really begins to think about what they've been thinking about. They begin to notice how they speak or how they act. And I think they begin to pay attention to those feelings on a more regular and conscious basis. And the word meditation, I looked this up because when I started my journey, I'm very scientifically minded. The word meditation, the symbol means to become familiar with. So then the first step to change, if you wanted to create a new life, you have to change. To change your personal reality, you have to change your personality. And the first step is consciousness or becoming aware.
So then ask yourself, what beliefs and perceptions about you and your life have you been unconsciously agreeing to that you'd have to change in order to create this new state of being? This is a question that requires some thought because, as I said, with many of these beliefs, we aren't even aware that we believe them. Often, we accept certain cues from our environment that then prime us to accept certain beliefs, which may or may not be true. Either way, the moment we accept the belief, it has an effect not only on our performance, but also on the choices we make. In the study about the women taking the math test who first read fake research reports about men being better than women in math, those who'd read that the advantage was due to genetics scored lower than those who'd read that the advantage was due to stereotyping. Although both reports were false, men are no better at math than women. The women in the group who'd read that they had a genetic disadvantage believed what they'd read and then scored lower. It was the same with the white men who were told that Asians score slightly better than whites on a test they were about to take. In both cases, when the students were primed to unconsciously believe they wouldn't score as well, they, in fact, didn't, even though what they were told was totally false. With this in mind, take a look at this list of some common limiting beliefs and see which ones you may be harboring without being fully aware that you're doing so. I'm not good at math. I'm shy. I'm short-tempered. I'm not smart or creative. I'm a lot like my parents. Men shouldn't cry or be vulnerable. I can't find a partner. Women are lesser than men. My race or culture is superior. Life is serious. Life is difficult and no one cares. I'm never going to be a success. I have to work hard to make it in life. Nothing good ever happens to me. I'm not a lucky person. Things never go my way. I never have enough time. It's someone else's responsibility to make me happy. When I own this particular thing, then I'll be happy. It's hard to change reality. Reality is a linear process. Germs make me sick. I gain weight easily. I need 8 hours of sleep. My pain is normal, and it'll never go away. My biological clock is ticking. Beauty looks like this. Having fun is frivolous. God is outside of me. I'm a bad person. so God doesn't love me. I could go on forever, but you get the idea. Since beliefs and perceptions are based on past experiences, then any of these beliefs that you happen to hold about yourself came from your past. So are they true, or did you just make them up? Even if they were true at some point in time, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're true now. We don't look at it that way, of course, because we're addicted to our beliefs. We're addicted to the emotions of our past. We see our beliefs as truths, not ideas that we can change. If we have very strong beliefs about something, evidence to the contrary could be sitting right in front of us, but we may not see it because what we perceive is entirely different. We've, in fact, conditioned ourselves to believe all sorts of things that aren't necessarily true, and many of these things are having a negative impact on our health and happiness. Changing beliefs may be difficult, but it's not impossible. Just think what would happen if you were able to successfully challenge your unconscious beliefs. Instead of thinking and feeling, I never have enough time to get everything done. What if you instead thought and felt, I live in no time, and I accomplish everything? What if instead of believing the universe is conspiring against me, you believe the universe is friendly and works in my favor? What a great belief. How would you think? How would you live? And how would you walk down the street if you believed the universe works in your favor? How do you think that would change your life? When you change a belief, you have to start by first accepting that it's possible, then change your level of energy with a heightened emotion, and finally allow your biology to reorganize itself. It's not necessary to think about how that biological reorganization will happen or when it's going to happen. That's the analytical mind at work, which pulls you back into a beta brain wave state and makes you less suggestible. Instead, you just have to make a decision that has finality. And once the amplitude or energy of that decision becomes greater than the hardwired programs in your brain and the emotional addiction in your body, then you are greater than your past. Your body will respond to a new mind, and you can affect real change. You already know how to do this. Think about a time in your past when you made up your mind to change something about yourself or your life. If you recall, a moment came when you probably said to yourself, I don't care how I feel. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life, and I'm not concerned how long it will take. I'm going to do this. Instantly, you got goosebumps. That's because you moved into an altered state of being. The moment you felt that energy, you were sending your body new information. You felt inspired and you came out of your familiar resting state. That's because by thought alone, your body moved from living in the same past to living a new future. In reality, your body was no longer the mind. You were the mind. You were changing a belief.
Because the moment you step out from doing the same thing and making a different choice, there's going to be some discomfort because the body subconsciously has been programmed emotionally into the past. So the moment you make a different choice, you're stepping out of the known into the unknown. The body starts influencing the mind to return back to the familiar place. That's why people have difficulty changing. And yet, if meditation is the model to become so familiar with your old self and so familiar with your new self, how many times do we have to forget until we stop forgetting and start remembering? That's the moment called change, okay? Give people the tools and let them practice, and they'll actually start enjoying it. Okay. But if you're not being defined by a vision of the future, I assert you're left with the memories of the past, and you'll be predictable in your life. So you wake up in the morning, you see your coworker, you see your husband, you see you're on a Zoom call, you're picking up your cell phone. For most people, it's the environment that's actually causing them to think and feel equal to everything that they know. So it's not their personality that's creating their personal reality. It's their personal reality that's reaffirming their personality. It's their environment that's controlling the way they feel and the way they think. Why? Because every person, your husband, your coworkers, your employees, your dog, your cell phone, every one of those things, you have a neurological network that you've actually created because you've experienced them. And because you've experienced them, you have an emotion associated with them. So if we're not being defined by a vision of the future, when we see the same people and we go to the same places and we do the exact same thing at the exact same time, The environment is controlling the way we feel and the way we think, but if how we think and how we feel actually creates our life, as long as we're thinking equal to everything that we know, everything stays the same because nothing changes in our life until we change. Okay, so the conditioning process, the thought and the feeling, the memory and the emotion, you're thinking in the past when you remember your problems, you feel the emotion associated with it. You're conditioning your body to become the mind of that emotion, and it's so objective. It's believing it's living the same past experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and now you're headed in a very specific genetic outcome. Okay, you get up in the morning, you do the same thing as you did yesterday. You go through this whole routine, and you keep doing that. Your body's on autopilot now. And the habit is a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that's acquired through repetition. Habit is when you've done something so many times, the body actually knows now how to do it better than your conscious mind. That means your body is the mind that's dragging you into that predictable future based on what you did in the past, and you lost your free will to a set of programs.
Yep. By holding a clear and firm intention and heightening our emotional energy, we have to create a new internal experience in our minds and bodies that's greater than the past external experience. In other words, when we decide to create a new belief, the amplitude or energy of that choice must be high enough that it's greater than the hardwired programs and emotional conditioning in the body. In addition to reorganizing your neurocircuitry, this new signal also begins to rewrite the body's conditioning by breaking the emotional attachment to the past. When that happens, in that second, the body is living fully in the present. It is no longer a prisoner of the past. That heightened energy is felt within the body and translated as a new emotion, which is just another way of saying energy in motion, or emotion. Whether that emotion is feeling invincible, courageous, empowered, compassionate, inspired, or whatever, and it's energy that's changing our biology, our neurocircuitry, and our genetic expression, not chemistry. A similar process happens with the firewalkers, the glass chewers, and the snake handlers. They get clear that they're going to move into a different state of mind and body, and when they hold that firm intention to make that shift, the energy of that decision creates internal changes in their brains and bodies that make them immune to the external conditions in the environment for an extended period of time. Their energy now is protecting them in a way that, in that moment, transcends their biology. As it happens, our neurochemistry isn't the only thing that responds to heightened states of energy. The receptor sites on the outside of the body cells happen to be 100 times more sensitive to energy and frequency than they are to the physical chemical signals like neuropeptides that we know gain access to our cell's DNA. Research consistently reveals that invisible forces of the electromagnetic spectrum influence every single aspect of cellular biology and genetic regulation. Cell receptors are frequencies specific to incoming energy signals. The energies of the electromagnetic spectrum include microwaves, radio waves, X-rays, extremely low frequency waves, sound harmonic frequencies, ultraviolet rays, and even infrared waves. Specific frequencies of electromagnetic energy can influence the behavior of DNA, RNA, and protein synthesis, alter protein shape and function, control gene regulation and expression, stimulate nerve cell growth, and influence cell division and cell differentiation, as well as instruct specific cells to organize into tissues and organs. All of these cellular activities influenced by energy are part of the expression of life. And if that's true, then it has to be true for some reason. Remember the 98.5% of our DNA that scientists call junk DNA because it doesn't seem to serve much of a useful purpose. Surely Mother Nature wouldn't place all of this encoded information in our cells, waiting to be read without giving us the ability to create some type of signal to unlock it. After all, nature doesn't waste anything. Could it be that your own energy and consciousness is what creates the right kind of signal outside of the cells to enable you to tap into that vast parts list of potentials? And if that was true, if you changed your energy, could that help you access your true ability to authentically heal your body When you change your energy, you change your state of being. And the rewiring in the brain and the new chemical emotions in the body trigger epigenetic changes. And the result is that you become quite literally a new person. The person you were before is history. A part of that person simply vanished along with the neurocircuitry, chemical, emotional addictions, and genetic expression that supported your old state of being.